I'll call the roll. Bob Berger.
Bob Berger's here.
Bob Berger is here. Bob DeToma.
Here.
Bob DeToma is here. Jim Gallagher is here. Bob Hassinger
I'm here.
is here. Jack Kelly.
Here.
Jack Kelly is here. The lovely and talented Lisa Kelly.
You don't have
Is-
your mic, Lisa.
Are you muted? Well, all right.
She has to plug her microphone in.
First syllable.
All right. Is it something that would see around the house? And I can just start calling now. Corson Wyman. Bueller. Lisa Kelly.
Can't hear you.
She's got
One more time.
Here.
Here, there you are. All right, Corson Wyman. Last call for Corson Wyman. All right, no Corson. So, there is no public on, is that correct, Bob DeToma?
That's right. It's just us.
So we can skip over the public input. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
I have.
We have a motion to
Make
accept.
a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll see who's in favor. Bob Berger.
Bob Berger, aye.
Bob Berger, aye. Bob DeToma.
Aye.
Bob DeToma, aye. Jim Gallagher is aye. Bob Hassinger.
Aye.
Bob Hassinger is aye. Jack Kelly.
Aye.
Jack Kelly is aye. And Lisa Kelly.
Aye.
Lisa is aye as well. And Corson Wyman continues to be absent. All righty. The treasurer's report. The screen is yours, Mr. Berger.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to read or review the two documents that I handed out?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Bob, you have to let me share my screen. Mr. H, you were saying?
I was saying, I don't know how many times I've gone back and forth between the how to read
Okay.
and the thing, trying to find the numbers. So some of them are easy, some of them not so easy.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much difference it makes.
Well, we're gonna go over it again. Because eventually I'm not gonna wanna keep on showing you this because this is all basically the same. So I'm gonna take it slow. This top one right here is really our balance forward.
The-
You understand that, Bob?
I'm looking for a pointer.
Okay, hold on. Does everybody see this?
I do.
Okay, so right here, this top line, which is 24/7.1 is our balance forward of the $578,000. The next line, which is 4830, takes all of our payments received from the select board and puts it inside this line. Okay,
You said 48?
yeah, look at the last four numbers.
Oh, never mind.
I'm not gonna go through the 29
Account number. All right.
account number, okay? So this one here, and it says it right here, this is our contribution from Verizon and from Spectrum. The next line, which is new, this is 4973. This is $79,000 the town meeting voted on to allow us to reallocate these funds because this was in the bond account, which got stuck there after we did the big project at the new studio. We're also going to have on our next town meeting, we're going to have another 500 and something dollars because we didn't take all that money out of that account. So this is almost like free cash. Okay,
It's money that's,
I'm listening, Bob.
it's coming from where and it's going to where.
We borrowed $600,000
Yep.
in our bond account.
Mhm.
We had some money left over after we paid all the bills because we paid some
Yeah,
out of our account and some out of the bond account, and some money got left in the bond account. So in order to use it, we had to go to town meeting and reallocate that money out. That's what that's representing.
But it's coming out into our bottom line of available funds.
That's correct.
So that's money we borrowed and we're paying on the bonds. And we're putting it in our operating money.
Right now we are. Okay, because you have to, because of, it has to be done by reallocating through town meeting.
Because it seems like the right thing to do is to apply it back against the bonds.
And we will when we make that payment. When we make that payment, we will. Okay, let's keep on going. Because I just want to explain what this report is one more time. Line 5100 is the guys getting paid. All right. Now we're taking money out. Line 5200 is purchase of services. Again, this is for enterprise cleaning, American Alarm, guys doing our AV tune-ups 4 times a year. And 5210 is paying energy. It's all a bottom line. That's all we're talking about is the bottom line.
Can I just ask, who's that first Arkansas bank
Out of which one?
for $165? It was in 5210. Oh, no, wait a minute. I mean, yeah, 5200. The last item in 5200, $165 for First Arkansas Bank.
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on that because I'll have to break that down and see what that is.
Is that the town credit card?
You know what? It is the town credit card. So I would say that somebody bought something for $165 and that was payment for it. And we'll break that down at the next meeting.
That
Mr.
was,
D.
that was,
Go ahead.
that was repair for the Mac.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to bother you.
No. That's what we're here for. So you get the energy. We already talked about that. Here's our supplies. Now, Mr. H, this is our bond payment right now. This is the principal and that's the interest. So we're covering $110,000 of principal and $17,000 in change of interest. Well, you know what? At the end of the year, when we make this payment, we're going to take that $79,000 and we're going to apply it towards part of the interest. So we're not going to take all of this 110. But this is just the way it works with this software. We had to have a place for that to go, and that's where it went.
But what I'm wondering about is the terms of the bond, whether I think of like a mortgage, you can pay it down so that
Early.
you're not paying interest going forward.
Yeah, you can have an early payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not doing that because nobody's asked us to do that. So
Well, my point is, I think it saves us money.
I don't know, and that's another question that I'm not prepared to answer right now because we're not. It's a 5-year bond. We're into it. This could be our 3rd year or our 4th year. I think it's our 3rd year. We only have a couple more years to go, and we're done.
Okay. Well, how about asking? Because we borrowed money and we're sitting on it and not using it. And usually that stirs up a little bit of issue in finance. But anyway, maybe you could try to understand what I'm asking and ask somebody.
I can. And Bob DeTomer and I are going to start building the budget, and we can give you a couple proposals on that to see, is it advantageous for us to pay the bond off, or do we still have to pay the interest because they don't give you a discount if you pay it off early?
Yeah.
Bob and I will look into that, and I'm sure next month we'll be coming up with some numbers for this committee to be looking at.
I would think that you'd be wanting to talk to the treasurer or to the TA. So this comes up in not just our bond, but in lots of bonds and borrowing. So they would be, they know how that works.
We will talk to them.
Great.
So now, this is really how I just want to present the treasurer's report from now on, if we can just get to it, because it's all right here. These are the lines that I just described. So far to date, we have spent $37,146.48. And if you take the money, number 10, and I added that 79,000, we're back up to $746,336.33 is available, minus the 37, gives us a grand total of what we have for available funds is $709,189.85. So going forward, I just want to go over these numbers and not have to go through the exercise of what we just did. I will give you the backup, but this is how I'm going to present it next month if I have no objections.
Let's see how it goes.
I didn't hear any objections, so.
Okay.
I'd say go
So-
forward.
I think that's it, Mr. Chair.
Oh, wait,
any-
Lisa?
Yeah, hi. I love it this way. I think it's so clear, and thank you for doing that, Bob.
That is my pleasure. That's what the treasurer does.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna close on that now. And now I'm gonna jump right into the drainage. The drainage. So we came up with a price to work on the drainage for $9,950. As soon as they jumped on the job, we had a problem that the front part wasn't working properly. So the number kind of doubled because they had to rip everything apart and do the whole thing all over again. So I had Bob DeToma go out and take pictures as they were going, and I'm just gonna go through the pictures, so it's like a little field trip. So
Can
this
I
is all
just
the-
ask you a question before you go too much further? We
You may.
have no recourse against the people who built the building? Is that correct?
Well, here's the deal. I sound like Joe Biden. Here's the deal. The deal is when we built the building for 1.4 and we renovate the building for 1.4, the architect had in his drawings to put this swale in. And our OPM at that time said, you know what? I don't think we need to spend the money for that swale. So we didn't.
All right, so it's egg on our face.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so here's some stone.
1 second before you get further away from what you did a minute ago. At some point, I'd like to ask a question about a receipt of money that we got, but it doesn't have to be now, but I do want to ask about it. The payment from one of the cable companies.
Yeah, that's gonna be in next month's report because the report was already generated before we got that payment.
Yeah,
So
I'm interested in what it's for, because 13,000 isn't the amount we get from anybody. But on the quarterly, is that a grant?
No, that's not a grant. That's part of our for payment of capital items. It's not part of the so many dollars or cents per.
No. I think Bill used to call those grants, or somewhere else, some of the people used to call them grants.
And if you want to call that the grant, then yes, that's the grant.
Okay, because it's I'm watching for our 88,000.
And it'll probably come in another
Yeah, I
week or
know.
so.
It's due. I think it's due. No. Anyway, move on.
Okay. Again, here's the rocks.
Hmm.
This is the pipe right here that goes across the parking lot. We took all the insulation out and we reapplied all the way down a weatherproof on the foundation. I'm just going through the pictures that Bob grabbed. This is going all the way. This is now past the corner. This is where the telephone pole is in the back of the building. Everybody know where the telephone pole is?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's weird to
Now
me.
we're,
Kinda used
now
to-
we're putting it all back together. This is the stone. This is the stone going right next to the building, in the back of the building. And there's a good shot of what we actually did. So now the water comes from the hill at the municipal center, and it was hitting this corner. So now it's gonna come down, it's gonna come into here, and we have pipe that's gonna bring it all the way down into the storm drain, which is in the parking lot. And that's what we look like from the backside. And that's the equipment they used. Now, hopefully, it's gonna stop it. And over here is the manhole or the storm drainage that it trenches all the way over that DPW did for us. And Bob was in there after the rainstorm over the weekend, and he said it was dry. And I think that if we didn't do this, I think water would have come up. What do you think, Bob? You think that's a true statement?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so knock on wood, I think we finally solved that problem. And with that, I will unshare my screen.
I think you explained this, but I don't remember. Water should have been coming from up there for many years. Why did it start being a problem?
I think it started being a problem because when the sheriff department and the police department had the building, they were using the garage as a studio, but they didn't close up the floor drain. And I think that floor drain, because we closed that floor drain that's in our studio now, I think the water was getting underneath somehow, and it was being released through the garage. And because we closed it, that was the difference. But that's just an educated guess.
Yeah, because
That's the only thing, that changed from when the police
Yeah.
had it and the sheriffs had it to when we had it, or when we took it over, was that drain.
That's a long ways across from, it's all the way across the building, isn't it?
But
It
there was
is,
no other point of egress, right? That was the first place that it hit where it could actually go.
right,
And that's why it showed up there.
maybe. That's the only thing I can think of.
Bob
think-
Natoma.
In my opinion, the back corner of the building is where they renovated the break room. And it's where they renovated the bathroom and the electrical room to put the server in. So in my opinion, and I'm not an engineer, the foundation probably got a little compromised. And that's probably where the water was coming from. It's the only explanation I can provide that explains why for 30 years it never leaked a drop. And then as soon as the work was done, it started to leak. Now, Bob is right. There was a drain in the main studio that didn't get addressed. So there's probably a number of things, but I think the vibration in that back corner of the building when they tore out the cinder block was probably part of the process.
That sounds better to me than the drain.
Then in that
But-
case, that's my story and I'm sticking to it then, Bob.
Well, the good news is that you went in on over the weekend when we had the rain and it was dry. So let's go with that.
We are going with that.
Thank you so much. And now, for those of us who are hard of hearing, is there an alternative to that, Mr. Natoma?
So as you probably have already noticed, using the instructions that the lady that Roger introduced to us at the last meeting, she provided a set of instructions on the closed captioning function for the Zoom meeting. So I went into the settings and the host of the meeting is the one who controls the application or the function. And the host has to go in prior to the meeting and tick off a series of boxes in order for it to activate. Now, I don't know how closely you've been watching it as it comes across the screen, but I have, and it's far from perfect.
Hold on, Bob. Hold on, Bob D. Bob H, did you turn it on?
I don't know where to turn it on.
Okay, hold on.
where to
Let's
turn
have
it
you turn it on.
Time out.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna show them. On the bottom of your screen, it says participant, it says share screen, it says record, and then it says live
Oh.
transcript. Hit the live transcript
And it gives me three choices.
and then well, mine says hide. So hit the top one.
Yeah, I see show subtitle.
Do it.
Okay, got it.
All right, there you go.
Okay, I
Now-
clicked it. Now, am I gonna be able to make that big enough to read?
Well, no, that's for vision impaired.
You can also go back and read the entire transcript. It's
Yeah,
generated.
but that's not the point. I wish you could make that so it's readable.
You can make it bigger. If you go to the bottom, it's subtitle settings. You can set the font size as a slider. You can change the chat.
yeah, look at that.
settings.
Oh, I see.
I'll come back when you guys are done. Just let me know.
Yeah, I just did it. Now it's big.
I
Thank
see.
you, Jack.
Oh,
That's good. I just did that too. Cool beans. Now, let
Somebody
me see
say
if I-
something.
Okay, so now that we have gone through that excitement, so it's not perfect. When someone addressed Jim by name, it came up as GYM instead of JIM. Datoma came up as trauma. So it's far from perfect. I am waiting to see if it learns as it goes. It also, I think, is affected by how many people try to talk at once. So I noticed that it struggled a bit with that when the conversation gets excited and everyone's trying to participate. It struggles a bit, or it takes a moment for it to catch up. I also noticed that when Mr. Berger was giving his report on finances, when he started saying the amounts, as in 788,253, it was typing and correcting as it went. So this is the AI function. This is the one that most people would use when they're using Zoom. So once I figured out that this worked, small w, I retyped the directions that we received from the lady to make it a little more, to make it flow better. And I brought a copy down to Cindy I to the TA's office and asked if the TA was available to go over it with him, and he was not. So I left it with Cindy, and she said she would pursue it. So I'm hoping that when I follow up again with Evan, that they will have distributed the instructions and leave it up to them to make sure that the host of each of the individual meetings is responsible for checking the boxes off. I'm also curious to see when this recording finishes up and I process it in the morning. I'm curious to see if it actually shows up in the recording. I don't have any reason to think it won't, but this is the first time we've used it, so we'll see.
I thought they said, Bob,
Okay, go ahead.
I thought they said that it will not show up in rebroadcast because it's two separate items on Zoom.
I
So when
think,
you,
I think if we were doing this as a hybrid meeting in room A, I think those are the categories that they might have been referring to.
no,
But this is, again, this is the Zoom app using Zoom's closed captioning. So, like I said, we'll find out more tomorrow when I process it and see what happens. So I'm hopeful. But if it was room A, I would say probably not. It wouldn't capture it at all.
I'd say
Can I ask you, Bob, would it be worthwhile if once you're comfortable with everything that has happened here, if you guys did a little video that could be shared with the people who run Zoom meetings?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that would probably be a pretty good idea because I know that we still get phone calls from people asking for assistance on how to make their Zoom work. So yeah, that's probably a good call. If you want, I will wrap up this discussion and then go into the other topic I was going to bring up.
Just-
Go ahead.
just maybe it'll learn, but I don't know what it's gonna use to learn from. So, if you had on some level, you can put in, no, this is what it was, and then a program could go back and save that information. But here, there's no one telling anybody that it got somebody's name wrong.
Right.
So, well, this is progress. So we'll
So
see.
how do I shut off the closed captioning on my screen? All right, Jack?
You just go right back to where you turned it on, where it says show closed captioning. It'll now say hide, and you just press that.
Mine still says show subtitle.
So then it should be not showing up then. If that's what the option says, it shouldn't be showing up on your screen.
Well, it's over on the right. If I press that again, oh, now it's underneath. Hide subtitle, okay, now that was there.
Yeah.
But over on the right of my screen, I have a column that says transcript. And that seems to be carrying on the actual
Yeah,
conversations.
you must have opened it. That's a separate little window. It tracks the entire conversation and holds on to it. So if you wanted to go back, but I just wanted to say, I think that going from very, very limited closed captioning options to this is a very big step up. It seems, I have been watching it. It seems to be pretty accurate when it's one person talking. When it gets to names, it gets very confused. The only other issue is it's a bit delayed, and when it goes back to correct itself, it can kind of get disorienting. But I just wanted to say I think this is a very big step up.
Well, I think you're right. Now, over on the right there where I have that transcript column, there is on the top of that, there's a little X.
Yep.
And I'm afraid that I might just disappear. Should I just try clicking on that X? to
Just
see
click
if-
the X in that little window, and it'll get rid of that little transcript
Alright.
window for you.
Oh, no, it says leave meeting.
There's an arrow that you want to hit. Just hit the arrow on the left and then it says close.
Arrow,
I
closed.
know where you guys are
It's
looking.
gone.
That's
But-
right.
I don't know where you guys are looking, but when I click live transcript down at the bottom I get a menu with three things that pop up. Hide subtitle in this case, because I'm turned on. View full transcript, which I think is what's turning it on for Jim. And then subtitle settings below that. I think the view, Jim, do you see where I'm saying?
Yeah, and I just did it as you were saying, and you're as right as rain. Now I'm hitting the little arrow again, and there's close and there, and now it's gone away again. You're right, though.
You're welcome.
No, thank you. Excellent. Well, I just clicked something else and you guys all went away.
Is there a way to control the size of this display? I've got 3 lines and it's not as well, I don't know, maybe that's where it needs to be. Okay, never mind.
All right, before you go any further, I've got a problem here. I don't know what I hit, but I'm seeing a promo for more than meetings. I can hear you folks, but I can't see you anymore. Oh, there it is. I did the little TV on the bottom line. and you're back.
I'm trying to help see what you're seeing through the reflection in your glasses, and it's not
Yes, me too.
not that simple.
You know what I think is that like under the square that has like the 6 blocks, I think there's another thing that's on the screen and I must have hit that by accident. And then when I hit the little camera on the very bottom line, then you guys came back. And I'm so happy to see you.
Whatever you just said.
Okay, Bob told me you had something else.
Imagine how smart we're all going to look when somebody watches this meeting.
These guys, yeah, they did it, but they have no idea what the hell they're doing.
So, back on track, if I may. shortly after our joint meeting with the Disability Commission, I received an email blast from Cablecast out of the blue, and they are very close to rolling out their version of the Cablecast closed captioning system. Now, this was interesting because the last time I researched this, they were using an outside vendor who was trying to get their equipment to shake hands with the Tightrope server. Now, did they bring these people in-house? I don't know. But from the presentation or from the email that I read, it sounded like they were rolling out their own version. So I very quickly sent the request for more information, and I got back a nice note telling me that, yes, it's in the works, but they're not ready to show step-by-step demonstrations. So I think I have, let's see if I can share my screen now that you've all had your chances. Is that showing up for everybody?
Nope.
No, but Bob Berger went away.
I went away.
All right, hold on. I can let Mr. Berger share, but I can't do it myself.
What do you mean?
Hang on, I got it. Maybe this is it.
There you go.
How about now?
No.
Now we see Bob Berger,
Oh, that's, I see.
like the rest of your little buttons there.
You are viewing Bob Berger's screen.
Really? Hold on. I'll unshare. There. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, I'm gonna try one more time, and if this doesn't work, I'll just explain it. Let's see. No, it's not coming up.
While you're doing that, I've got a,
No, I'm all done.
Maybe
I'm not gonna try it. It's
okay, maybe this is unique just to my laptop, but it says it's time to restart. You
okay.
couldn't restart to update. So should I just tell them to wait an hour?
Yeah, just wait.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, the
I'll
functionality,
go back to that lady again.
the
There you
function,
are.
the functionality that Cablecast was describing in their system is that it will be built in, and it will be in the same functions or the same page that we use when we create a new meeting. So for example, if we go in and create a new live event for select board or a new live event for planning board, there are boxes that we tick off in the system once we've created the event. And it looks pretty simple because one of the boxes we tick off is we say, record this event for future broadcasts. And then right underneath it, they will, in their demo, their brief video demo that they showed, there's a box where they're planning to have another checkoff box, and it just basically says enable caption. So based on the quick description that they sent me, it looks like basically it's the straightforward AI version, just like we're looking at here on the Zoom. They gave a basic introductory price, and they were talking, let's see if I can find it here, give you an idea what they were talking about. They were talking about a pay-as-you-go system. So their plan is for 16 cents per minute, which they say equals approximately $9.60 per hour. That's one channel. And you could purchase a block of 500 hours, which would come to $3,500. And you can buy other blocks of 1,000. They break it up into small pieces. So as soon as they are ready to show the rest of the world how this is going to work, I'll get a video demonstration going, and maybe we can set up a Zoom meeting so people can actually see it. But it looks encouraging. I'm pleased with the idea that I have a support team that's already there in Minneapolis who we talk to. I'm not dealing with an outside vendor. I'm dealing with people that I deal with on a pretty consistent basis. So that's exciting in its own regard.
Good.
So things are looking up.
All right. Was Spaceman, Rocket Man there? That's you, Bob H.
Oh, yeah. Do you know where that function runs? Is it on our end or is it up at their end? In other words, it takes some computer to do this job.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, Bob. It's in the very early stages. So
If it happens on our end, there might be money added to what we've got on our end,
right,
have hardware.
right.
Okay.
It's been a number of years since our system has been installed, and I really don't even know if it, we might have to purchase an upgrade before that takes place. Do we have to purchase an upgrade and a piece of equipment? Their emails were just in the infancy stage, so I'm hoping for more information as the next few weeks come along.
I heard something about the schools being interested in changing to the kind of switcher we have.
Yes.
And if we had to actually upgrade our switcher, then there might be something going there.
Yeah, they reached out to me. Tom Walsh reached out to me to ask for recommendations. I told him what we used, and I connected him with Okers, and I believe Danielle DeLucia was already there talking to them. I don't know the result of her visit. I haven't spoken to Mr. Walsh in a few weeks, so I can reach out to him and ask how that's going. I don't know if our switcher would have to be upgraded to talk to their switcher. I don't know any of that. Those are questions I would ask Danielle when I get the chance.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Let's move on to the young and talented Jack Kelly and find out what's going on in the access activities spot.
So we just have all of our regular programming still going on. I didn't write this one down, but Cadence, our high school intern, has been doing a great job capturing a lot of local events. She did the Haunted Hayride, she did the Small Stones Art Festival, and I believe she did one more event, Tacoma. I forget which one it was though.
She did the video for Small Stones.
Yes, maybe it was. Oh no, we just got sent the costume thing. We just got sent that one. We had Jim McGovern back in for a second time to do a snap PSA with Lisa. That one came out very well and was very well received. And we also did a M&J's Market business to business that was very well received. And that's other than just doing our normal meeting coverage. That's about it.
Okay. Where do we go next on all this, Jack?
Concerning what?
Our
The
growth.
next step. Consistent original programming. It's what we're on our way towards.
All right, but to facilitate that, should we be talking about a producers class?
Yes and no. There's still a level of just hours in the day needing there to be. Producers course, it would be great to get people in the door. It's funny we keep bringing it up, and I still think it would be fun, but we're getting people in. We're getting new people in the door. We're getting new programming. We're getting people who are willing to be a part of that programming. We've done many sketches and skits. We need more. We just need more time, and once we have, if it takes a week to do something, once that week is spent working on it, then it comes out.
All right, Mr. Tacoma.
Let me see if I can help Jack out. We have people that do want to participate. But
What? People with what?
We have people that want to participate, but that participation comes with a price, and the price is that the staff generally takes the reins to get the production to the finish line. So, and this makes me think back to when Chris was having issues with some of the old time producers who would just show up when they wanted and expect him to have everything set up and ready to go. And there were some times that he felt that he had been taken advantage of. And I guess in a way, if we can get people in the door and we can produce something brand new, so be it. I mean, we're there, we're all capable. There's no reason why we can't help people produce. And if we, I guess the short version of the story is you can lead a horse to water and maybe we can get them to drink too. People seem willing to come in and collaborate with us. They're willing to come in and listen to Jack's ideas. So there's a positive vibe in town, and the more people that I talk to, when we ask them questions, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Is that something you'd be interested in? Is that something you'd like to see us pursue? People are very supportive. Getting people to come in and sit down and create their own programming from start to finish, not so much. Maybe that's something we can work on. But right now, if we're the supporting members behind the scenes and all they have to do is come in and sit down and read a script or present something, we're more likely to pull that off.
Okay, thank you. Rocket Man.
I'm a little unclear. Have we gotten to where you guys are really doing most of it besides sitting in front of the camera talking, as opposed to back in the day, we had to learn how to do all that and we had to do it. There wasn't any staff doing it for us. It was my hot idea several years ago that we say, oh, it's okay for staff to help a bit. And we seem to have gone quite a ways. If we're going to a new model where we do everything for them, then you can be not having training classes because, or hardly anything. You can get rid of all that. That wasn't the idea for Access, but the idea was in the 80s when we started worrying about that. So I'm wondering if we're talking about a change in
Philosophy.
direction. Philosophy better, yeah. Change in philosophy, as Jack
Yeah.
said.
well,
That's the great thing that I keep wanting to hype up about Cadence is that she comes in, she does all her own work. She comes in, she has her own idea, she films it, she edits it, everything. But and as I can heap as much praise onto the talent I work with on my shows, but if I didn't produce it and direct it and edit it, it wouldn't happen. And that's fine because I'm taking on that job as the producer because I had the idea, I'm making it happen. But in terms of other people in town with that kind of want to be hands-on from start to finish, I would like to say that we've seen growth in that.
I don't know. Was part of this in terms of running a class for a while there? I thought maybe it was there are only so many hours in the day and finding time, whatever, from staff to run a class would be a little bit of a challenge.
It would all depend on meeting schedule. If we had a night where there's no meeting.
But I was just thinking, we have adequate funding. We could hire somebody like Danielle to run the class, like she did so many times.
That's assuming that the Oakers company would let her do that.
Okay, I have no idea who's doing what, but it just comes to me.
Yeah.
Mr. Berger.
I have to, I think that's a good idea. I think if we do want to do a producers class, we could go and sub that out to maybe Danielle And that would be something that we would build into the next year's budget. Got to remember, we're living on a budget now. So we would have to research what it's going to cost to actually hire a company to come in and do that. And who knows if we even want to call Spectrum up and see if we can hire Chris to come in. I don't know, but there's another idea. But I do like the idea of bringing that subcontractor in to put on the show or put on the producers class, because I think that's the only way that we're going to really expand the use of our studio is if we continue trying to get producers in and forcing them to do the whole thing like you did in the past.
Jack?
I just want to say, I would be more than happy to take an extreme hands-on approach and say, if you guys said, we want to have a producer's course by this date, I'd be more than happy to take on, setting it up, promoting it, all of it, setting a curriculum, all of that stuff. But the question's still, for me, as someone who's actually teaching people, like as of now, having people come and showing them around the studio, telling them how it works. When that date comes, how many people are going to be there? Because when we look outward and say who's interested, there's not a lot of, no one really steps up. But when we're just kind of working and putting out content, that's when we really get people who say, oh, I like that. I want to make something like that.
Bob Berger.
All right. So if that's the case, then I suggest that we pick a date. We pick a date in, if you're going to put on the class, then we don't have to hire anybody. But we have to advertise that you have to pre-register for the next producers class, which is going to be held in the month of, let's say, March or April. And then, now you come back and tell us how many people have signed up for that class. Because right now we're just guessing that somebody's going to sign up. So I think that we should go forward and advertise something for April or March and see what the number is. And if we come up with a number, if we get 4 people, I think 4 people is a good number.
I agree.
These are just my thoughts I'm throwing out there. That's all.
Yeah.
But-
You gotta watch out too, Jack, is that you're piling a lot on your plate too.
No,
you
I
know?
can handle
So, all right.
Yeah, but the point is, the real point is, it's throwing that fishing rod out there. Is anybody interested? Are there fish out there that we can
Yeah.
grab?
but that's been true for 40 years, Bob. I mean, literally, 35, whatever it is, 35 years. That every time we come down to class, there's that question. One of the reasons that I was looking for a higher function, public relations, this involves or should involve telling the world what producers, what it's about, why you do it, what's involved, what you get out of it, and building interest. Because besides a few people sitting here, nobody knows what we're talking about in any depth. So that it's not just throw on a couple of ads that we're going to be having a course. If you really want to be successful, you have to sell it. Linda's here. You have to sell it. And that's great to do. But actually, I think we've probably forgotten a lot about what we ever knew about doing classes. And for example, Danielle, who I mentioned, they remember that. They remember all about that. And so they're a real leg up on it. So,
All right, so it's out there now. What do we want to do? Let's talk about this.
well, there are only 2 people sitting here who are helping those people. Or actually, I'm not sure how much Bob gets to do. So that really, if that's the model you're going to follow, for the most part, that really limits how much content you can create, because you don't have the manpower to do an infinite amount of stuff. That's the reason, well, one of the reasons. The other reason is the channel we're working on is called public access. But if we want to have, maybe we want to fund more support people to help produce. It's another idea.
That's something that could come down the road, seeing how we go. What are your thoughts, Jack? I'd be interested to hear that.
On which aspect?
On where do we go from today? What should we be doing
Where do we
next?
go? So I think all of the grand ideas will come down or have to keep in mind what Berger has said is we are living on a budget. But what we can do within the confines of what we have is honestly, I think, stay the course. We have Twig coming out every other week. We have Bus Stop Weather. I just did a test show to restart the Grafton Movie Theater, which is like a half-hour original program. We have Minute by Minutes coming out. Eventually, Business to Business is going to start back up. We're going to get back into the swing we were at in the summer, and we're going to continue to create a ton of original content. And I think that really sets us apart from everyone around, all the other local accesses around us.
All right, what's the movie show?
There's Grafton Movie Theater. It was the first thing I ever did when I got here.
Okay. Bob, do we want to, Bob DeToma, do we want to be talking about doing TV classics? Or let it go?
Are you talking about your hosting of it?
Yeah. Or is that now a duplication?
And if you want to come down and recreate TV classics, you're welcome to come down and do it.
All right. Is that the same as what you're doing though, Jack?
No.
No. Well, we can have that conversation off later on, because you're a huge part of that, Bob DeToma.
So I think the idea of setting a date, throwing the hooks in the water and see what we catch, that's fine. I think I'd like to know ahead of time that if one person responds, does that mean we still proceed? Or do we have a set limit? Do we say we have to have 5 people to produce the course? Because I can't see financially where it's a sound idea to bring in an outside contractor and say, okay, here's your one student, go ahead and teach the course. That doesn't make sense to me. So I think that if any promotion for the course has to be very specific and say, we will teach you all aspects of television production, but there is a minimum number. If we don't get that number, then there is no course.
Yeah, that minimum number can be internal, but even if, say, the minimum is 3 people, and it's advertised as a course that sets you up to independently create content here. And obviously they're not going to be able to do whatever they want without any supervision, but still you're going to be doing it from start to finish, creating these programs. If the number gets up to like 10 and we say, oh, well, we're way past the minimum, but we're starting to get too much people, you can always pull Bill in, or even you, Bob, and we'll be fine on that end.
I'm not so much worried about how it's going to work internally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more interested in that if we're going to do it, and as Mr. Hassinger says, we promote it properly, we get people in the door. I just want everybody to temper their expectations, because even at times when there were classes of 4 or 5 or 6 participants, we were always very lucky if we got one program out.
Yeah. That's
There
a statistic I can support from many, all the years. I was in the first class. Linda was in the second class. Corson was in the second class. I'm just wondering, we talk about the budget. I think that we have money. What it takes to use it specifically, I'm not sure. And it's been only a portion of the money we have is available at the moment because of the way we juggled it. But there ought to be a way to Do it.
Okay, I want to go down to
Wow.
Mr. Berger, who had his hand up actually first. Bob Berger.
So, Mr. DeToma, I think the number we should have a set number. I agree. And I think the set number should be either 4 or 5. And we should also put a maximum number on how many people we can have in the course. And that could be 8. So you go a minimum of 4, a maximum of 8. And Mr. Chair, I can answer Mr. Hassinger's question about money. It's just
Go
like
ahead.
the way the municipality works. On special meeting, town meeting can reallocate funds. So if we needed more money in our next meeting on the special meeting, we can ask the town to allocate more funds, and it doesn't come out of the general fund. It still comes out of the 29 account. But we are fixed on that budget number for the year. And if we needed more, we have to ask the townspeople for more money, and we have to give them a reason why. And then they vote on it.
Yeah,
So that's the process.
That's
Well-
the process.
well, but how much are we gonna spend down to 0 at the end of the year at the rate we're going?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the 335,000, which we budgeted. Absolutely.
So let's talk more about this. Let's talk more about this next month, okay? Because this sounds like something that if we're going forward, that this is going to have to be figured into our next budget. Am I wrong?
I think you are. I don't see why we're gonna spend money to bring somebody in from the outside for an unknown number of participants and an unknown number of projects to be the result.
Oh, structure it, arrange, if we can get people, we want you to teach.
But that's the whole thing.
I
If we
don't care. Never mind. Ignore me.
If we get 3 people, we could probably do it in-house, but if we get 10 people, we can't.
Why?
So that's, again, if we're talking about making up a budget, we still have too big of an unknown to know, as Bob DeTolber is saying, is whether or not that needs to be a budget amendment or budget.
I have an
change.
idea, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So why don't we advertise for a course for April? And then the maximum number will be 5, right? And the minimum will be 4. And if we get 4 or 5, because that's our minimum and maximum, they're gonna do it in-house. And then based on the response is how we're gonna build our budget for 2023.
Bob DeTolber.
Just a reminder, none of this is on the agenda.
Yeah, well, this is, I'm doing this under other items that as we piggybacked on to closed captioning, it kind of grew and then out of Jack's thing. That's why I think I'd like to see it on next month's agenda to get into specifics. But I think this is good just to get a feeling of what we might have to do. So that's items not reasonably anticipated. So I think we're still covered, but thank you for that. Okay. So do we want to go out with a letter now
A letter?
or go out with an announcement now?
Well, someone's got to put together what this is gonna be. Someone's got to put together the story about why you might be interested in all of that. And put it out. Yeah.
Bob DeToma.
I will take this on and present it next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
not a huge amount of time, though. Every week at the planning board, they hear me say that. Zoning? Oh, you haven't started that yet. We're just having town meeting.
We're
It
better
always
off
takes
here
a lot
because-
longer.
We're better off here because we have all of these intellectual minds, so it's got success written all over
Time
it.
marches on for all of us.
That's right. All right. Any motions on the floor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Berger,
Aye.
Mr. Berger is aye. Mr. Datoma.
Aye.
Mr. Datoma is aye. Jim Gallagher is aye. Mr. Hassinger.
You didn't mention that's the 20th of next month, right?
Yeah. Did I skip? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. I skipped over.
It's still aye.
Yeah, Monday, December 20th. Very
There.
good. Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly, aye. Mrs. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly, aye. So we are officially adjourned.